This is MiMo Mike Mozart, and you're going to see one of my most embarrassing moments in history. But it was planned. I appeared on the Sally Jesse Raphael Show about 42 years ago, so it was a different time. And there's quite an explanation. I think you'll enjoy it. Please watch all the way through and don't hate me. Okay.
Yes, say the joke's on them. They're men, and they say they are always the one to get burnt in a relationship. Meet men who love too much on the next Sally Jesse Raphael. What does that conjure up? Well, it conjures up usually an image of a woman. She has a broken heart, and she's broken up with a man, and she's just sitting by the telephone, and she's really lost it. But what about the men? We don't often hear, about a guy who's dying of love. And we don't often hear them talk about their feelings when a relationship ends, especially if it's the man who doesn't want it to end. So think of all the men in your life, or the one man in your life you've sent packing. Today we're going to hear from 3 men who were really hopelessly lost after their relationship ended. Each of them really had serious problems letting go. This is John, and John was...
If you look over the shoulder of Sally Jesse Raphael, you will see an 18-year-old Mike Mozart in a studio audience of a taping of the Sally Jesse Raphael Show. It's 1980, and the theme of the show is Addicted to Love, men who have fallen in love with a woman who has burned them and walked away, and how they have to deal with the emotional pain and sorrow of it. And I got on this show in the studio audience because they had made an announcement. We're looking for men that have been burned by women. Have you been burned, or do you know someone that did? Please call the Sally Jesse Raphael Show. A friend of mine called in and said, you got to get Mike Mozart on this show. Oh my God, it'd be so hilarious because he's had so many girlfriends, right? And he's like hangs out with girls all the time. That's all he does. He'll just say the right thing. So they said, okay, we want you both in. And they actually talked to us in advance and sort of prepped us what to say and kept saying, this is all in fun. We want you to say something that's kind of derogatory. We want you to say something like this. Don't be afraid. It'll be nice. And they actually seated us in the audience. They seated in the best guys, the shills, and they only went right to us to ask the questions. And it was such a funny thing about how much a fuss they made about what I said, but I was already pre-primed to say exactly that.
And addiction, and you always have to make sure that you're on the right side of that rope.
Dave, you sent your love flowers and cards, all sorts of things like that, and you waited for her to respond to you. Why don't you just go out, hunt her down, find out where she is, and say, do you love me? Yes or no?
Well, I knew I probably would get a no, and I still couldn't accept that. What I was trying to do, I said to myself, I'm doing these things out of love. What I was trying to do was to make her feel that she owed me something for all these things.
Now, wait a minute. Do I have a problem with you? Yeah, this is the old-fashioned idea of we guys will get what we want. We will never take no for an answer.
He even used the word, I'll hunt her down.
You just said, I'll hunt her down. Now, this is what we're talking about. If the lady says, no, I'll hunt her down, is a little like, you mean she's got to give in because I'm a guy and I got to win? Is that what you're really saying?
Well, no, she doesn't have to give in. I'm just saying, you sort of tortured yourself.
Well, sure.
Why didn't you just find out yes or no?
Sure. Well,
suppose she said yes. Suppose she said no. What would you do? Hunt her down.
No. Yeah, hunt her down. No, I wouldn't have lived with it all that time.
I did torture. That's true. But it took me a long time to see I was torturing myself. So she was playing a little power game with me, but only because I was allowing her to do that.
Oh, I'm hearing
That's part of not being able to let go. That's part of what the addiction process is.
What?
That you're unable to let go. You don't have a choice. You feel it's something that you need to survive as opposed to something you want.
Well, personally, myself, I wouldn't hunt the girl down, but I wouldn't take no for an answer.
You would not take no for an answer?
No.
Well, now, guys, now wait a minute. Wait.
Notice that they put all the people they wanted on camera, like right in the center row. We weren't a random studio audience. We were pre-screened, pre-interviewed, pre-selected, plopped into position there. And they chose people that they really liked and had some fun with. There was a girl there I was kind of sweet on, too. I wasn't married yet. I was still too young, but it was kind of funny. I sort of had a date with one of the girls there, probably why I got so much camera time. But, yeah, I wasn't so bad looking then, I got to say. I will get back to the show now. I just want you to notice that it's an all-male audience. This is not a random, we'll send you tickets audience here. And they only put people right across the front edges that they intended to interview at all. Hey, remember, this is a different time. And come on, no comments about the porn stash. Every guy in this studio audience has a porn stash. Every guy at that time had a porn stash. It was common. Nobody had beards. I didn't even have a beard at the time. Because if you had a beard, you were like homeless or a hippie. And they must have liked something I said. This is the end of the show, the closing. Right at the very end of the show, they put on me, of all things.